welcome to the podcast that must not be named, End of Book Spectacular.
Yeah, and stuff.
I am your host, Melissa, and I am joined by my other host,
Luke. Hi, back.
And we are here ready to celebrate our whole group spectacular, where we get to talk to all of our correspondents.
Our whole Harry Potter team, if you will.
The team. And so, Luke, can you go ahead and introduce us to all the people we have visiting
I
today?
definitely will. So, a voice that you're very familiar with, you hear him every 5 chapters. Our first-time reader, Riley, is back. What's up, bud?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how's school?
It's good. It's good. I'm in the studio today, so that's a good feeling.
Nice. It's always nicer when you're in person.
Oh, yeah.
We're also joined by a voice you just heard, our bad guy, Breadcrumbs detective, Benji. Welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah.
Thanks for going through the whole book for us. It's always nice to be able to
Oh, yeah. No,
Hansel and Gretel our way through.
Oh, it's always fun doing that in the last 2 or 3 days after listening to you guys. It's like, okay, let me get this done.
Yeah, just blitz through it and do it.
Yep.
All right, we are also joined by our other person that shows up on our 5-chapter recaps, our target audience perspective, Lorelai. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hi, you going to be a little louder this time?
No. Just for our listeners at home, just so you know, we're going to be counting how many times we hear Lorelai talk, mostly to make fun of her. So we're at 2.
No.
3.
Hey.
All right, and the final member of our team so far, until anyone else gets drafted as needed, is our roving Quidditch correspondent from Gryffindor, Abby.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All right, you excited for the end of the book? Even though
Yeah, I'm always excited to be at the end of book 2.
Yeah. Especially because half of your Quidditch season got canceled in the middle.
I know,
so,
right? Yeah, it was actually it was a blessing in disguise.
All right.
She's
Well,
not talking about it.
let's go ahead and kick this off like we did last book with the cover illustration discussion. What do we think of this cover?
All right, so I'm going to start just by describing it. Again, we're talking about the cover of the original hardcover American
Full
publication.
jacket.
It starts with Harry Potter flying with Fawkes. And then as you turn to the back of the jacket, you see Ron holding onto Harry's cape or another tail of Fawkes. I always thought it was a cape, but I actually think it's
Looks
Fawkes'
like more tail feathers.
more tail. And then he's got Ginny down at the end down there. There's a cat in a window. There's a snake and several snake-ish type things. And then some torches. That's about it.
Yeah, I definitely like the angle that this, like, you're really looking down at the whole scene. It's pretty neat for that reason alone, I think.
Yeah, and I think yours is actually torn. I think you see there's Ginny's holding on to another hand there.
Which would be Gilderoy Lockhart, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because if you think back to book 1, the cover of the first book had a lot of little mini scenes going on. This is definitely like one moment in time with a little bit of Mrs. Norris in the corner, but it's more of a one-time picture.
Right.
What, do you think that's Mrs. Norris? Because they do go to McGonagall right after that, so that cat.
I think she plays more of a prominent, Mrs. Norris plays more of a prominent figure in this book because she's the first character-ish petrified, so I would assume it's her. And McGonagall doesn't change into a cat, and that's not mentioned at all.
Mm-hmm. Lorelai, what do you think of this cover?
I think it looks nice.
You think it looks nice? Abby, thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, I actually have it written down because, I like my notes, my pen just flapping around. But my thoughts are that this cover is a beautiful cobalt blue with a diamond-plated, embossed design. This wonderful, wonderful green, almost canvas-looking binding. And shiny still. I mean, like, how many years later?
The sheen? Oh,
Silver. Man. Foiled lettering. Fantastic. It's wonderful.
Clearly doesn't have the jacket. As discussed last book, Abby takes the jacket off and proceeds to choose to lose it.
Yeah, no, you cut the fat. You send over the ship what you don't need and you just, keep on going.
All right, well, fitting. So at least we got both the jacket cover and the hardcover descriptions in there. Well done.
Mm-hmm.
So our next section, we're going to go ahead and talk about just sort of everybody's overall notes/thoughts about the book. So just as we circle around the room, we're going to have each of you guys tell us what were your overall big ideas,
things that
your takeaway, if you will.
Like outside of Riley, it'll be everyone else's. What did you think this time? Comparing it this read through compared to previous times, or even the first time, if you want. But let's go ahead and start with Riley.
Sure.
First time through, and then What overall thoughts about it?
Okay, yeah. So obviously, for those of you who have been listening, I've had kind of a few gripes with this book, but specifically the ones that my problems have been that I feel the three characters, the kids, weren't really portraying ideals of Gryffindor a lot, and were breaking a lot of rules, and like it was just felt out of character a lot for me, and it was hard to like really, from what she's established as what Gryffindor traits are, to like pull them in. But I feel that as reading the end of the book, seeing is that Harry is truly a Gryffindor by choice and by his heart, but has traits of Slytherin and, has been chosen by Salazar Slytherin in a sense because he has Lord Voldemort a part of him inside of him or whatever. I think that it makes a lot of sense that he would do some of those rule breaking things, and also with his leadership traits bring those two friends along too. And I think it I don't know, it made a lot more sense to me, and it like came full circle. I don't hate it as it all makes sense to me. So
it definitely was redeeming at the end.
Yeah.
All right. Let's kick it over to Lorelai. Lorelai, what were your sort of big thoughts overall about this book? How did you feel about it? Did you like it? Because you've actually listened to it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do you think about this book? What is your overall thought?
I think that it's better than the first one.
Ooh, why?
Okay.
Because there's a lot more funny quotes.
So it's just more entertaining overall throughout the book. Okay. All right, Benji, over to you. What do you think?
I actually agree with Lorelai. Yeah, I agree with Lorelai. I like this one better than book one. Like I said in the last time, book one to me is fairly boring for the most part up until he gets to school. This one, there's only one boring chapter, and then we get into the fun. We get into the Wizard's World, and it's a good time. And there's more of a direct threat. I like that the title actually tells you what the threat is. It's not like this kind of circular thing, as we've seen before. But, I enjoy this book. Going to Riley's point really quick, never does JK or do they say that our Gryffindors follow the rules. We're just brave about stuff. Look at Fred and George Weasley. True Gryffindors through and through. They don't follow the rules. You do what is needed to be done.
Sometimes it takes courage to break a rule.
Exactly.
That's true.
The most difficult thing is standing up to your friends. So it's now what you're supposed to do is what you need to do. So.
All right, Abby?
So going through, there's a difference this time and about the same this time. I've read this book least out of the whole series. I kind of skip over it often. It's not my favorite. The first time I read it, it was for a book report in 4th grade that my mother made my brother do the night before it was due.
Your year and a half younger brother.
My younger brother, while we were sitting at preschool because she had to work the late shift.
It's true.
So
this happened.
And Happy's never
I'm
gotten
not
over it.
kidding. And I remember Mom saying, Luke, just help her with it. And he said, I am helping. He goes, Luke, just do it for her. So
to add to this, I think this was the book that I actually bought for you as a Christmas present before we even had book one, because we didn't know. I was just like, it's something we had heard about. It's like, Harry Potter is becoming a big thing. So I was like, okay, well, let me get this for Abby.
Yes, perfect.
Couldn't read it until we had read book one because we realized later on. Yeah.
This is book 2. So I felt the same last night as I did the night before my book report was due. I even asked Luke to do this one for me too. But, hey, he
all
said
of her
no.
thoughts are her own here.
Yes, this is true. And at 3:40 in the morning, I was like, Luke, please just do it for me. Anyways, the new feeling that I have, it actually is more because of the podcast and listening to you guys, is I've always known that Harry Potter has made me feel a certain way about differences or whatever, but I've never been able to give it a name, and that tolerance. Teaching tolerance is what I took away this read. So it was actually this listen from you guys, but it was a very good point. It actually put the book for me in a brighter light.
Cool.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go for it, Melissa.
I concur. This is my least favorite Harry Potter book. Most of the time when I tell people that they should read a book, I say give it 100 pages. With Harry Potter, I say get to book 3. If you can read to book 3, you'll be fine.
It's twofold, because the 100 pages does work for book 1.
Yes.
And hopefully book 1's enough to carry you through book 2.
You gotta get to book 3.
Book 3, yeah, I agree.
But, and I overall have really big issues with the plot in this book. And we've talked about it some, but my big idea about the plot is it absolutely doesn't make sense. that Lucius would have thought that he knew enough about the diary to randomly throw it in Ginny's. To me, there's too many questionable variables, especially with what did Dobby know to warn Harry and then not know. Like, none of those questions get answered, and it bothers me. But I do really like how this time J.K. Rowling spends time making sure that as our main characters learn new information, it's not just Hagrid being dumb. Like, definitely the information gathering part was much more organic, and this book was incredibly funny compared to the last one. I was laughing out loud often, so that I really enjoyed. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, I agree. I don't through rereads. I've enjoyed this book more and more, and especially reading book one the way we did chapter by chapter and reading this one chapter by chapter. I feel like this book is authored much, much better. I feel like her J.K. as an author got much better. I think that shows up in the funny lines are legitimately funny. Every time she puts this is a funny line, it's funny. It definitely has a darker feel to it. The main problem I think a lot of people have with it, and this is kind of a comment on the whole series, after book 3, it's kind of one continuous story. Books 1 and 2 hit the same points. They're very much, this is a full self-contained story, and a lot of people loved book 1, but felt like the same points were hit in book 2, so it's frustrating to do it twice and then see the story develop the way it does later on. Mm-hmm. So I think it gets a bad rap for that, but I think the authorship and the way the story unfolds is a lot more natural. I think not having Hagrid being, or, a single character or point of interest as the only plot driver was much better done. So overall, there are a lot of things I really, really appreciate about this book, and it was fun. This one I felt was more fun going chapter by chapter than book 1 was.
I agree with that too, and I think I won't be skipping it as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
I really feel like had I read through the book just at my own pace, because I slowed down a little bit to do it at the 5 chapters. I would have liked it much more. I don't know. I don't know if I blitzed through it, just because there was a lot of slow points. I mean, maybe where we specifically stopped, or like where I was waiting to go on,
mm-hmm.
but
we have to wait 4 to 5 weeks or so.
But like, I don't know. I do really love I think the end of the book brought it full circle for me. So like, if I could have gotten to it quicker, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But
I agree. There might be some holes early on, but I think it's just because they're not explicitly stated. I think there are some things that you can infer, and it makes it okay later on.
Exactly. And just to chime in a little bit here, the one thing I think the reason why this is still highly on my list is because of what happens later in the season or in the series as a whole. Going back in, there's some parts mentioned just briefly that come back and they become big issues, and I like that. I thought originally, this is a throwaway book, this is a skip over. But once you get to that part, it's like, oh, well, this and this and this, aha. And they were all a lot from this book.
Final thoughts on the whole book, Abby?
Sorry. My biggest issue this time through, last time through, the first time, and then this time, because those are the only time. No, I've read it a couple more times than that. But I literally was listening to the audiobook the other night, and within the first 6 minutes, my issues were already showing up. And it's when he's talking about it should have been the first book background. Harry is fresh back from his first year at Hogwarts. He missed the castle. He missed his bed. Maybe not Snape, but he missed playing Quidditch. And then it should have been like a sport that he was good at or was allowed to play. So then you get, hey, he goes to a magical school. There was a thing happening last year. He plays a sport. He doesn't like this guy named Snape. Move on. Because getting through 20 pages of stuff you already know as a person who does not like reading is the most, I just didn't do it.
Mm-hmm. And I agree that is a big part of the early part of this book is the rehashing what happens. Book 3 does that as well. Several of the books do this.
It took me 300 pages to figure this out already, and now I gotta read 20, 30, 40 more about the same thing. Like, I'm wasting my time here. I'm already not enjoying myself.
Right.
But
and that really...
it's just hard.
That really is a function of she changed the style of book after book 2.
Yes,
this really is that childhood type book where, hey, this is a self-contained story. We're going to tell you everything that matters from the previous story. You don't have to read the whole book. You could just read book 2. Like, you could.
I will
which doesn't continue later on.
questions moving forward in the series came from the fact that I did not spend time in book 2 and understood what happened. Because I'd be like, hold on, wait, what? And then I'd be like, hey, Melissa, in Harry Potter, blah, 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 why is this, and she'd be like, well, do you remember in book 2? No.
Of course not.
No.
Oh, Melissa, everybody's walking Harry Potter lexicon.
That's right. So, should have read it better.
That's what I'm here for. I got you.
All right, ready to move on to our full book superlatives?
Heck yeah.
All right, let's get into our best chapter. This is the best of. What is your favorite chapter? What did you think was the best chapter of the entire book, Melissa?
My favorite chapter is chapter 11, the Dueling Club. Not because of the actual Dueling Club, but just like the high amount of humor that's in here. For example, when Lockhart gets knocked over, right, when he's dueling with Snape, and Hermione goes, "Oh, do you think he's all right?" She squealed through her fingers. Who cares? Said Harry and Ron together. Or another time when Harry's like trying to get up and he's supposed to duel with Malfoy in front of everybody, and Lockhart cuffed Harry merrily on the shoulder. "Just do what I did, Harry." "What? Drop my wand?" Like, she just was burning people all over the place. And this is where Peeves' song happens.
Which is definitely one of your favorites.
It is.
Like, in the whole series.
In the whole series. I love Peeves.
The whole Valentine's Day.
This isn't Valentine's Day. This is "O Potter, You Rotter."
"O Potter, You Rotter." Oh, what have you done? You're killing your muggles. You think it's such fun.
I just laugh. And I didn't laugh in the first
She's actually
book.
An incredibly boring person in real life, so.
That's just mean.
It's just you?
Wait, well, no, I am incredibly boring in real life. I thought you meant J.K. Rowling.
No, I meant you. So
I am
you actually laughing
boring.
Got through.
I know. It's very hard to make me laugh. I'm very dry. So this is what I liked best about this book anyway. And I think this was the first chapter. And there were other ones later on, like, with Valentine's Day and different things that were funny, like "Follow the Spiders." I'll never forgive that. Like those kinds of things. Yeah. But this is the chapter where it hit. This was the first really, really funny chapter. So it has my vote.
Right. Awesome. Lorelai, what was your favorite chapter of this book?
I agree with my mom.
That would be me.
Cause, it was just so funny. Like, I was listening to it, like, on the bus, and I just, like, started cracking up, and everyone around me was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm just like, "I'm listening to Harry Potter. It's great."
It's good, trust me.
And, like, no one listened to it, and I was just like, wow.
All right. Abby, favorite chapter?
My favorite chapter is chapter 10, The Rogue Bludger. It's a Quidditch chapter.
Again, who can be surprised?
I mean, but I didn't pick it for the actual Quidditch match, which was pretty epic. I mean, it was super cool. I do like in this chapter the humor. It not so much that like the kids or Harry and Hermione and Ron are being funny or George and Fred, but it's Lockhart and how she writes him. And Harry says, like, "No, don't fix my arm." And
no,
he said, "Well, his
not
arm
you.
didn't hurt." Yeah, no, don't. Sorry. His arm didn't hurt anymore, nor did it feel remotely like an arm. "Ah," said Lockhart. "Well, yes, well, that can sometimes happen. But the point is, the bones are no longer broken." Like, okay. You know, that's the thing to bear in mind. So, Harry, just toddle up to the hospital wing. Mr. Weasley, Miss Granger, would you escort him? Like, he just is so oblivious to everybody around him, and it just becomes so apparent that even, like, Hermione kind of can't. She has to start seeing here. He's a little bit ridiculous. So, I just like that whole part at the end. I like at the end of this chapter, we hear about, like, Dumbledore confirming the Chamber of Secrets has been opened. It's about the part of the book that I'm like, okay, here we go. Something exciting and new. I like this chapter. It's funny.
All right. Riley?
So my favorite chapter is chapter 17, The Heir of Slytherin. And it is mainly because of two things. We get to see more of Tom Riddle, and we find out more about, like, all of the loose ends getting tied up and what's really happening. And I think the whole plot of him being in the diary and him using Ginny is just really imaginative and unique. And for a storyline for a bad guy, I think Tom Riddle's one of my like emerging favorite bad guys. We find out that that's Lord Voldemort. So like that's exciting to me. And also another major reason why I love this chapter, and I realized that J.K. Rowling is so good at writing action to me. Like, I don't know, I lose my attention really quickly when I read, but when I can blitz through this chapter and like not have to go back and try to understand what's really happening in the room. I read through that whole snake fight section in one go. Didn't have to go back, didn't have to like reread something. And that's, I mean, for me, tough sometimes. But like it was really, it encapsulated my attention. It got me on my edge, like of my seat when I was reading it. I don't know. Not many books can do that. Not many authors can write action like that I've read. And, I would like to see more. I hope I see more action further on from her, because I thought it was really interesting and exciting and everything, all the different elements in that fight scene and his sinister, like creepy, mannerisms when he was talking to Harry. I don't know. I just love that whole Chamber of Secrets scene. So.
All right. Well said, Benji.
All right. I actually just recently, in the last 5 minutes, changed my answer. I am going with chapter 18, Dobby's Reward, because I like especially the scene in McGonagall's office with Harry explaining to Dumbledore and everybody of what happened and trying his best to figure out how to get around and, not blame it on Ginny. Oh, it's not Ginny's fault. It's actually this diaries, and Dumbledore just had the mentality and wherewithal say, I wonder, so how did Voldemort get this, able, and that's when opened the door and let Harry show the diary. It also has my second favorite line of the entire book in it, and a sock. Dobby got a sock. Must have presented. It's just like the audiobook translation from Jim Dale. It always makes me laugh whenever I hear it. And you just see Malfoy realizing his whole scheme, his whole plan just came under wraps, or came unraveled. And I enjoy it. I think it's one of the better closeout chapters. Doesn't end on a sad note, kind of thing. It's more of a happier note, which later on we see that. But, I enjoy it. It is my favorite chapter of the book.
All right. My favorite chapter, I actually agree with Riley. I think the Heir of Slytherin chapter 17 is very well done. I'm not usually the one that picks the, hey, everything's coming together chapter, but I do like the way this one comes together. It's hard not to compare it to the previous book where it's like, oh, a big reveal. It's Quirrell. Yay. Like the feel of this is different. Mm-hmm. The walking through the Chamber of Secrets feels dangerous. Yeah. It's so much different than the obstacle course that is what we call it at the end of book 1, where it's like, yeah, you could get hurt by a troll. It could kill you. The level of fatality here is so high because he could literally just drop dead at almost any second. And it's so visceral on how eerie it is. And it's so well described as being like a dank, dark dungeon. It's wet. There's snakes all over. It's really good at being creepy. The whole interaction, like Riley had said, with Tom Riddle is so well done because it takes Harry a little while. Yeah. And yeah, he may seem a little ignorant in doing that, but in that chapter, when Melissa and I talked about it, the way I feel about it is Harry's so stuck in hero mode, it makes sense for me that he's not thinking, oh, well, this is the enemy. Like, clearly, because he's not attacking me. He's just there. And so it wouldn't click to Harry to question, why is Tom Riddle here? Like, he just knows him as this helpful old prefect, whatever. And I like that Harry doesn't quite get it. But then when it clicks, Harry turns on the, okay, well, I have to fight the snake and you. He does so in a pretty epic fight. Like, definitely the action is
Fawkes
pretty well.
Poking at the eyes.
Fawkes being just super badass, truly.
Right.
I mean, he does everything. And then the final reason I picked this chapter is something else we talked about during that chapter's episode, and it's something that Benji referenced in chapter 18 as well. Harry's ability to think about Ginny's perspective of this and not just blurting out to Ron when they get back together of, well, what's Ginny doing? Like, basically blaming her. He understands that she had no part in this of her own volition, and he understands that this is going to be difficult for her, and he's looking out for her, and he just does a good job at caring about her emotionally.
I think, let me jump in real quick.
Go for it.
Another reason that, I really agree with everything you said, and I love that Harry gets I love that Harry gets the opportunity to resolve things in his own accord. He doesn't black out and have people help him, I hated that about the first book. Like,
he truly is the hero.
Exactly.
Along with Fawkes, but definitely he strikes that final killing blow. He does it. and
both knows he's doing it. Like that was done intentionally this time, not like I'm going to just hang on and hope this helps.
And I do have to bring up something really quick, especially in regards to this chapter, because I just listened to your guys' episode on this. While you guys were talking about the snake and everything with Harry's glasses, that was the exact question I was going to ask. Coming this, I was waiting for it to be brought up. Would Harry's glasses protect him from the basilisk?
That's a good question. I mean, it's definitely not answered ever. But I think it'd be something at least worth trying. Hey, give everyone glasses to at least try it, because what's the difference between looking through a camera and looking through a ghost and looking through a puddle? Like, some of them are reflections. I agree. The camera, you could argue there are mirrors inside.
I did argue it.
Right, I'm saying I agree but looking through the ghost, there's no reflection. It's just blurred. Like that's my
it's translucent.
To me, that's the closer one. There's a barrier. So that's why not try glass? Give everyone glasses. At least it's some fail-safe you can try.
Solar eclipse glasses.
Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious because I'm like, I'm going to ask this during our end episode, and then it just pops up. I'm like,
reflections.
There it is.
All right. So that was my favorite chapter.
So now we're going to get into what is the worst chapter. So we're going to throw it back to you, Luke. What do you think was the worst chapter in this book?
I think the worst chapter in this book is chapter 2, Dobby's warning. It's definitely the most frustrating. There are plenty of outs for Harry that he doesn't take. He could have just not followed Dobby out of the room and just been like, well, I'm up here. Like, I'm up here. He's down there. End of story. Like, I no part of it. When the pudding gets dumped, like, whatever, I'm up here. The door's closed. I have no part. He at least could have saved face with the Dursleys somehow and just been like, I have no clue what's going on.
I'm in my room making no noise. Pretending I don't exist.
And just with how frustrating Dobby is, how helpfully frustrating Dobby is. He's trying so hard, and his intentions, we find out, are good. And he's right. He thinks that there is a plot to kill Harry Potter specifically, and it's dangerous to go back. He's right on that, but that shouldn't be Dobby's decision. Like, he warned him. He shouldn't keep trying to prevent him from going.
Okay.
And it's just frustrating to see over and over.
Right. Simply for staying on topic, we're going to skip to Riley.
Yeah, I agree. I hate Dobby. I don't like him at all. I don't like him at the end of the book. I don't think Harry should have saved him. I don't like him.
Ordered to go.
Keep the slavery. Keep the slavery.
I'm going to throw this out here really quick because this is my theory on this. Dobby originally warned Harry Potter because he was ordered by Draco not to return, to make him keep from returning to Hogwarts.
Nah,
it's an unproven theory.
See, I don't think that'll work because Lucius Malfoy is the one who started the big plot. I feel like there was more to it than that, than just Draco saying, "Hey."
I think it was Draco's jealousy and
I'm selling. I'm not buying that.
All right. So anyway, Riley, any other reasons why chapter 2 is your least favorite?
Not for slavery, but I just don't think. Let's
clarify.
He just never did. Like, he knew all of the answers, and finding out at the end that he actually was right just made it even more frustrating that he couldn't just simply, like, do the right thing and tell him, like, oh, you said it wasn't Lord Voldemort, but, like, yeah, it was.
So
like,
why chapter 2 specifically?
Just because we're stuck with Dobby and all of his dumb stuff that he does, and nothing really happens. And I want to get to Hogwarts, and I don't care about the Dursleys or Dobby or Harry being there.
That is it. Dursleys are definitely frustrating.
All right. And then Abby.
Yes, and yes, chapter 2 was also my pick for all those reasons. Biggest one, is like Riley said, like just getting through the Dursleys. Like, let me get somewhere that's actually fun and exciting. And I get it. He was given this ominous warning and, oh, don't do this. And he had this, I didn't care. I knew Harry was going back to school. We had like 300 pages more to go. So obviously something happened. Like, you're not fooling me. So it just get through it. And, it is funny. I do enjoy Dobby, but he is frustratingly helpful.
All right, Benji, how about you? You did not pick chapter 2. Thank you, by the way.
I picked chapter 1 because
I was close on that one.
Because of what Abby had already mentioned earlier, because it's just a complete rehash of what happened in book 1. And yes, I can see that as a young adult reader, or everything, you get that remembrance, especially if you had to wait a year for the books to come out and you don't remember exactly, kind of one of those things. I get the explanation and the rehashing, but it's like, come on. On my now probably 70 to 80th time through, yeah, chapter 1 gets listened to at 2.5 speed. Just, right through. And I like Dobby. Dobby makes me laugh. He is entertaining. And so watching the whole, thing, in Dobby's reward, I enjoyed that. So that's why, yeah, chapter 1 is just a buffer to getting to Dobby and to the funny parts of the book. So.
Lorelai, how about you? What was your least favorite chapter?
Chapter 6, because...
And that's the Gilderoy Lockhart. Hold on. I need smarmy Gilderoy. Can you do it for me, please?
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
And why was Gilderoy Lockhart chapter 6 your least favorite?
He was just so, annoying. He was just like... Hey,
charming, you mean?
Wow. He was just like...
Dashing.
Man, burn with one word, Luke.
Well.
She got you. Wow.
Sting of the episode.
So, what was so bad about Professor Lockhart?
He was just like, it's your first time being famous. And then Harry said he was just like, I've been famous since I've been born. And he's just like, a few people know you, hopefully. He's just like, yeah, a few.
And the thing with the Cornish pixies, that was pretty annoying in that chapter.
Oh,
too.
yeah. He just ran. Everyone was trying to save themselves.
All right. Anything else about chapter 6? Any arguments for or against from the panel?
Nope.
All right.
Nope.
I love to hate him.
Yeah.
I actually really like Lockhart.
Of course you do. What were you going to say, Ab?
I like Lockhart not because I like him, but I just love the insufferableness of him and how you can just relate him to so many people you might just walk and find in your everyday life. I love it. It's fantastically written.
So my least favorite chapter comes towards the end of the book. I didn't pick any of the chapters you said were your favorites. My least favorite chapter, honestly, is Aragog.
I can see why.
Why do you think that I don't like Aragog?
It's a lot like Norbert the Norwegian Ridgeback. It's a standalone chapter almost. In this book, it's very standalone comparative to every other chapter. Just like we were frustrated last book with that.
Here's my point. 1, the boys are, once again, not following directions for no good reason. There's absolutely no good reason to go out into the woods. 2, spiders freak me out, so I don't like them. 3, the scene is very Hobbit-esque. Hobbit is my least favorite of all the Tolkien books, so that doesn't help either. I also think if they had just, way back during the Secret Diary, when they found out that Hagrid was the person expelled, gone and talked to Hagrid, he could have said, no, it wasn't me, this is my, they could have avoided this completely.
Or, if they could have, been sweet and actually held Hermione's hand while she was laid up in the hospital.
Or talked to Myrtle. My point
That's
is.
my biggest question.
What?
That's my biggest question. Why doesn't Myrtle, she watches them for how long?
I don't think they're talking about the chamber, and I don't think she ever really knew.
Let's get to that.
But my point in general is,
sorry.
Cool.
what happened in this chapter was completely pointless based on the rest of the story.
Fair enough.
I will say, the only redeeming thing about this chapter was we got to see the car again, and I love the car. The car is my favorite. But the rest of the chapter was, it's a Norbert chapter. Oh, look, it's another one of Hagrid's random creatures.
Fair enough.
All right.
So with that, let's talk about not just the chapters, but our favorite characters in general. Melissa, kick us off. Who was your favorite character?
Ron.
Probably not Aragog.
Not Aragog, Ron. Absolutely Ron. And again, not because he did anything important. He was just the funniest. He had the best lines in the book. And I'm not going to give you what my favorite line of the whole book is, but some examples are because that's what Hermione does, said Ron. When in doubt, go to the library. Or when Harry was talking to McGonagall and he goes, that was the best story you've ever come up with. When we said she became funnier and her writing and authoring became better, it is no more apparent than in what Ron does.
Yeah, definitely. He's not just a sidekick now. He's actually useful.
Esque.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Benji, who was your favorite character?
Lucius Malfoy, honestly, is who I picked this book because the first interaction we get with him, he is putting Draco in his place. He's basically saying,
definitely. No,
shut up, shut up, Mimsy. You've said this, you've talked, you've been whining about this for the last, 6 weeks. I've heard it. And then then he leaves little breadcrumbs. Call back to my little section, but starts leaving little breadcrumbs. You start hearing about Malfoy all throughout. He tries and plays the game of getting Dumbledore out of office. He's trying to get, Weasley and, Mr. Weasley in trouble. And everything he does, it works. If it wasn't for those meddling kids and that Ron too,
I would have gotten away with it too.
I would have gotten away with it, But, I enjoyed, Lucius Malfoy. It was a good introduction to him, and, he was my favorite character.
All right, Lorelai, who was your favorite character in this book?
I chose Ron because, like my mom said,
Still me.
Thank you for that information.
I thought you meant thank you for birthing you.
Also true. You're welcome.
Like, he had the best lines,
I thought,
so I just really liked him.
All right, Riley, favorite character?
Tom Riddle.
Lucius Malfoy and Tom Riddle picked as favorites. All right,
I'm glad I'm not sitting on their side of the table.
Mm-hmm. You got to give a shout out to the Slytherin gang, and I'm a big fan of bad guys. I always have been. I think bad guys are the most important characters.
Loves a good villain.
Bad guys are usually the most important characters of stories because they bring conflict.
The more compelling the villain, the more
hence my pick.
Heroism you get.
I don't know. I'm very the chapter 17 really made this book so much better for me because I was not. I liked reading it, but I was not super into it. And I don't know. I think the concept of him being in the diary that whole time, playing on Ginny, is all of her dreams. It's terrible, but it's so sinister and it's so smart. And for what he has just showed us what he wanted, it's so true to his character. And I don't know. I really like it.
Could you almost say terrible but great?
Yes. 100%. I don't know. I just think he's one of the most unique villains that I've come across in all the fantasy that I've read. So
nice. Well said. Abby, who's your favorite character?
I'm gonna go with Fox.
Fox. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good call.
I like the scenes that he's in this book. I like what him as a phoenix represents. I also like that in the time, Harry really needed something, and there was nobody, and there was no hope that there was. And it was in the form of Fox, and he comes with the hat and history from there. But I just think he's really neat. For my favorite line, I really almost picked, I hope I'm not picking anybody's, I don't think I am, but when Harry looks at Dumbledore, he's like, "Sir, your bird," or whatever. And he's like, "It just caught flames or caught fire. There's nothing I could do." And Dumbledore, of course, is so unconcerned. And I just think it's so genuine. He's already not having this great time, and then this bird just dies.
He's having a bad day.
The bird dies as he looks at him.
I'm having a bad day.
The last thing I need is for Dumbledore's bird to die, and then it does.
It catches flame right when he says it.
Yeah, Black Cloud, Harry. Everybody has one now and then, so I think he's funny. I like his scenes.
All right, my turn. There were a lot of good characters in this book. I really liked Dumbledore in this book, but there's a big loss that he has that, how could you not tell this was a basilisk? You're one of the most brilliant wizards of all time. The evidence is pretty clear.
Read Newt Scamander's book. It tells you right there.
It's just hard. That one point against Dumbledore, can't give it to this book. I really want to give it to Harry, but we don't do that. But he definitely earned it in chapter 17. Yes. He was awesome. He was very, very good that chapter. I really liked Tom Riddle. Great villain. I like that he's brought back as a memory. Again, that's just such an interesting concept that you're fighting a memory that was planted 50 years ago and has been building its way back. It's
learning.
I know.
Yeah.
I really like that he uses Ginny's life force to, throughout the whole year to get information that he needs. It's very well done, but he loses. So, I'm actually going to give it to the character that was 2 for 2 in this book, the Ford Anglia.
Yeah!
Every scene that he was in, he wins. He gets away from the Whopping Willow and the boys who were detrimental to its health. He assists the boys in getting away from the Aragog and the other spiders. and then gets away from the boys and goes back to live in the forest. I really like the personification that the Fort Anglia goes through. And I think we talked about the theory that, maybe we know that Muggle technology goes haywire when it gets onto the Hogwarts grounds as part of the, hey, Muggles, go away. Like, don't help us. And I like the idea that maybe certain types of technologies gain this personification, these human characteristics, this AI, sentience. And I like that it's just a character that's out in the woods. It's just another, I think it's a beast at this point. And it's quite fantastic is how I feel about it.
I feel like there is a total loss that we never see the car.
I entirely agree.
It makes me really sad.
Definitely.
Spoiler, Riley.
I was just about to say, I hope we see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Well, just get used to it.
Wow.
The sadness, just get used to it because it is such a good character, and it would have been such a good use later on, like at any point in many of the chapters that we have later on.
What'd you say, Ab?
It's my kids' favorite Harry Potter movie. We don't watch them anymore, but it's their very favorite Harry Potter movie. They want to watch the one with the flying car. That's what they call it, so Harry Potter and the flying car.
And that whole chapter where they're flying through, Harry and Ron are just, it's one of the few times, again, in these books that they're just kids being kids. And like they're enjoying being kids. We don't get too many of those scenes. There's always some big baddie out there. Are we the baddies now? There's always some big bad guy out there that's coming after. This is in that, hey, we're past the Dursleys, but hey, we're not into the big mystery of the year. It's in that nice sweet spot of we're just having fun.
And actually, Luke, to go to your point really quick, you can actually go 3 for 3 because Ford is the one that gets Harry out of the Dursleys too.
Even better.
Yeah.
It wasn't a character then. I would give that credit to the
But
Weasleys,
if we weren't for that, they wouldn't have been able to pull it off.
Right, I agree. Yeah, fair enough. 3 for 3. He wins every scene that he's in.
So now that we've talked about all of our favorite characters, let's move to the worst of all the characters. And Luke, we're shining right back to you. Who was your least favorite character in the book?
So listening to my friend Lorelei's worst chapter discussion, I changed mine to Lockhart. He is so frustrating on wanting Harry to just the pushing his own thoughts onto Harry on being famous. Like everything we know about Harry is who wants to be famous for their parents being dead? Like who wants that? Thanks, jerk. Like no one wants that. And we know Harry is such an upstanding character. He's got good moral fiber, if you will. It's just frustrating to see Gilderoy keep pushing those buttons.
Lorelei, let's jump to you. Who is your least favorite character?
Gilderoy Lockhart.
That's been kind of the theme every time we've talked to you, honestly, this whole book. That's why I jumped to you after Luke. Any new reasons why we dislike him so much?
He's just, the entire book, every scene that he's in, he's just like, it's alright, I was famous, and still famous,
Oh, I see you all bought my books.
Yeah.
It was the book list.
It's like, you want me to sign them?
Yeah.
Or how he tells everybody to read his books in class, where he forced them all to buy his books.
Yeah.
When you're as famous as me, you might also need to carry around a stack full of signed photos.
Like the Weasleys
Their first class, he was just like, gave them an entire test about him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, you'd melt down if that were you. And somebody showed up on the first day, here, take this quiz on all of my books. What would you do?
I don't know, throw it away.
You go to Miss Lappy.
Throw it away.
You go to Miss Lappy, yes.
This is what happens. You go to Miss Lappy and say, look, she told me I had to have a purple binder for this class. I don't have purple binders for that. That's for my science class. I need to get out. This is enough. It's too much.
In your world, that
purple
would be Mrs.
is not
Painter.
her color.
Same concept.
Yeah.
All right,
shout out to Lappy Kids, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So then, Abby, let's jump over to you, Lappy Kid. Who was your least favorite character?
It would also be Lockhart. For all those reasons they said, it's just, she writes somebody of his likeness so well.
It is very well.
It is very well written. It's very relatable. You just look at people and you're like, what are you even thinking? Like, did I elicit this advice? Like, do you think I like you or care that you're famous or rich or really good at something or really handsome? I don't care. Like, it is very nothing to me. But she does it so well that it's amusing, and he's just so bad. He's good. Like, I love it.
Do you all know the story behind the character of Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Here, the story behind Gilderoy Lockhart is there is only one character in her entire series that she based off a real person, and it's him.
She's never said who that the actual person is, and she refuses to.
Yeah,
but
right,
she never will. But yeah, I was gonna say that.
Colleagues.
I don't know.
A boyfriend.
an ex-husband. Who knows?
I think it was a professor or.
It could have been too.
I mean, that would have been my guess.
I love the idea that he is not actually good at all, and he's good at changing people's memories and making them think he's good, and he plays into it. That's why he's such a jerk, because he's got to play into it, because that's all he's got. I love it. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump to Benji. Benji, who is your least favorite character?
It is the pompous. It is the smug. It is not Gilderoy Lockhart. It is Ernie Macmillan.
Although goes with the theme.
That's where I was going with, to kind of throw a little curveball. Ernie Macmillan. Oh my God. Just really, Harry, it's good to meet you. Just, oh my God, really? We only had 3 scenes with him throughout the book?
Roughly. Close enough, yeah.
Roughly 3 scenes.
And by scene, you mean 2 sentences at a time.
They meet each other in herbology. He gets mad at the library,
and then he says again.
He apologizes in herbology later again.
Right.
And all 3 scenes, he's still pompous. He's still, just arrogant. And him to a T of, at first he's, introduce himself. Then he's,
a politician.
Yeah. Then he starts blaming Harry. This is what
politician.
This is what what Justin was afraid of, and blah blah. And then I liked your guys' explanation from the previous podcast episode was the 3 of them are kind of a mirror of Harry, Ron, and Hermione, except they're 6 months behind.
Yep.
And it's
well, they actually have to look at who's the most likely suspect. Harry, Ron, and Hermione can get past that.
Yeah, right. Because they know it's
not Harry.
Exactly. Right. So, but it just, for me, it's nip, and ongoing. There's going to be a theme.
I can get behind a not Ernie fan. I'm with you. All right, Riley, how about you? Least favorite character?
Okay, so I'm in a hard tie because I came from 2 perspectives. Obviously, you guys know, I already said it, I hate Dobby as a character. I think he's so annoying. Tied for least favorite. I don't like any scene that he's in. He just can't get to the point, and I don't like that. So from a specific character and what they do in the book, I don't like Dobby is my least favorite character. From a writing perspective, Ginny is used specifically as a plot device. She has nothing of her own sense in this book. She does nothing all book, and then we find out that she's just been doing so much, but it's just it's like a Law and Order SVU crux where you watch the whole episode, you don't know what's going on, you come up with all these ideas, and then there's it's character X that you haven't seen before that has just been doing this the whole time. You just pin everything on Ginny at the end, and it's all okay because she's a Weasley and she was being used, and I just hate that idea. She's just a plot device, bad character. I hope she gets better because I like the Weasleys, but she did nothing, and she was the culprit the whole time. I hate that. There was no clues. There was nothing that would even lead to her being the one doing it.
There were a few little itty bitty things.
Very
she
minor.
she looked under the weather, so Percy made her take the pepper up potion.
Okay.
Yeah. When she saw him with the diary, her eyes went bug-eyed, and now granted he thought it was because of the
Cupid
song,
dwarf,
but it was really because
or how only a Gryffindor could have broken into his room to steal the diary back.
Yeah,
or her finding out about the Percy secondary little mystery.
Well, I mean, once that came up, she still didn't like when she came up to try and finally give herself out, she still didn't, and that I don't know. Yeah.
I think that she's written very well as a victim.
Yes.
As somebody who feels responsible for their decisions.
Yeah, I guess.
Even though she was the victim.
No, that's
and
true.
She was, but in everything that we see her in after that first, Diagon Alley, when they go get their stuff, from that point on, it's not her. It is an alternate form of a victimized child who is trying to figure out, how to deal with this or how to live, and she's confused, and it's her fault, and doesn't
all the
know.
shame.
Yeah. Okay.
She definitely gets the most unfortunate character.
Yes.
That makes sense.
But I don't disagree with Riley that as a first-time reader, she comes off as
such a nothing.
Yes.
That perspective makes 100% sense, and I agree. But while I was reading it, that was how I was feeling.
Yeah. Oh, I don't blame you. I just think it took this many times through, and really today's society being what it is, and we know more about that to be able to see that, and the fact that J.K. Rowling was able to put that in a book back almost 20 years ago. That's amazing.
Right.
Now, Now, my issue really quick with Ginny is it's not the character itself, it's more of the writing, I will say, because we saw what Harry, Ron, and Hermione did all in their first year. They're only 1 year older than Ginny, and even, the younger, and Colin Creevey, they seem so much younger in, the way they're portrayed as first years than Harry, Ron, and Hermione were.
That's such a well done thing, because that's how anyone looks at someone who's younger. Like Abby looking at kids in my class would always be like, well, they're just entirely younger. Like they're
the kindergartners.
Right. It's a big difference. It's always there.
And
senior to junior.
And you're right. And the focus is on Harry, so we see it through
kind
Harry.
of like how all of you will always be young.
Yeah.
Always. It doesn't matter.
And you will always be so old.
I know.
So old.
I know. It's okay.
So
I'm halfway between all of
So,
y'all,
like,
so.
I think the thing, while I understand, and like you giving me that perspective on her being a well-written victim is very, like, I agree. Like, it gives her more, like, but like, I would have liked to see more writing to give us, I mean, maybe as first time reader, there were some, I didn't pick up on them, but I would have liked to see a little bit more writing to show us that we could have maybe come to that conclusion ourselves
the first time.
I don't think you could in this book. I don't think even just if you just read this book again and didn't go on, you would even come to that conclusion.
Let's go and do final thoughts on Ginny throughout this whole book. I'm going to start with Abby, just because she was just going.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I think no matter if you just read book 2 and you read it again and again and again and again, you would still feel like Ginny is a plot device. Like she wasn't, like, where did she come from? She had no backbone. She had no whatever. But moving forward, as you get more like kind of background and you're more in the world or knowledge, it does become clear that maybe Ginny's writing in this book wasn't poor. Okay. Maybe it was purposeful.
All right, Lorelai, thoughts on Ginny?
I think that, Tom Riddle just thought that, Ginny was, like, the closest she would have gotten to Harry. That, like, she was, just the, like, crime person, but, like, so innocent. Like, she had no clue, she had no idea. They had no idea. She tried to tell them multiple times, and she was just, like, innocent.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, thoughts on Ginny?
I think I don't agree that she is a bad character simply because I know her later. Mm-hmm. But I see your point, Riley. I think if we had seen a different Ginny at the Burrow, if we had seen the bubbly, outgoing Ginny from the train station in book 1,
where she runs after the train,
she's like, "Mom's Harry Potter!" Like,
and on the way back, there she is.
Right. Like, I feel like that Ginny was way more interesting, but that's not the Ginny we even got at the beginning of this book, because the Ginny we got at the beginning of this book was too shy around Harry, which I understand why, but if that hadn't been there and we had normal Ginny, then the shift in her character would have been a little easier to pick up on.
Yeah.
That's my only
Benji, final thoughts on Ginny?
No, agreed with Melissa wholeheartedly. Because of later on, Ginny is not a bad character in this book. Like I said, my feelings on it was more the way, the perspective of her, and that actually continues on through the series, is that perspective, which I don't like because we do learn a lot more about her later on. But through this book alone, I mean, well documented, or not well documented, but documented of the trial and tribulation that she went through, and it's understandable, as an 11-year-old, why you would do what she did.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go and then have Riley go, since it was your least favorite character. I have some thoughts on Ginny and how she's used as a plot device in this book. It is very unfortunate what she went through, and it's traumatizing, to say the least. I mean, and she's used. She pours her soul, quite literally, pours her soul into this diary, which Tom Riddle uses to get stronger and stronger, and she is used by him over and over to learn about Harry. And not even, to mention, she has no idea that she's been used like this. And it is a lot like how people are used and preyed upon via social media nowadays. And it's so prescient to what kids are facing nowadays. And I'm definitely not a scare tactics kind of person, but it's a real thing. It's out there. So just be mindful and don't fall for it. But the thing that I really think about why I like, unfortunately, the way Ginny was used in this is because she's the Hagrid of this book. She is the plot device, but it was so much better constructed and so much more hidden. And Just say it.
I just drew a heart because I loved that.
Yeah. No,
I mean, she
right.
is. So and she is the plot device that gets overused, but it's so much better hidden.
Yeah,
it's so much more subtle is a perfect word. If you once you know it and you go through it again, if you read through this again, you'll see these things that Melissa and I were talking about. And it's heartbreaking to see what she's going through because she is a first year and she has nobody because she's got this book that she's poured her soul into that's completely isolating her from even being able to have friends. We see her where she's always by herself. She's always by herself, and that's because the book won't let her open up to people because it's already got her its claws into her.
Right.
So I could keep going on about Ginny, but I think she is a very good character who is in an unfortunate spot, and it's heartbreaking.
So knowing that I was just maybe a little ignorant, I choose Dobby. No, not ignorant.
Your perspective is good.
No, Dobby is my least favorite character.
Tying off of that, I'm going to give you my least favorite character because
Melissa, who's your least favorite
I haven't
character?
had a turn yet.
I know.
Man,
It was worth going through for Ginny.
I'm going to talk now. Looking at you.
I allow you to talk now.
Oh, thanks, boss.
I could be if I want.
My least favorite character was also Dobby, which is very hard for me to say. I love future Dobby. Love future Dobby. Hate book 2 Dobby. Book 2 Dobby, he's like the kid in my class, and not any particular kid right now, but like the kid in my class who never does the right thing. Ever.
Nice.
Even, that almost makes it worse. Like, I'd rather you just stop trying. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You just don't have the answers, man.
It's like the Bart Simpson. I'm going to do so well in class. Yes, Bart. Yes, Bart. You, Bart, stop answering. You've not gotten one question right today.
Yeah. Like, and not that I can pick out a certain kid, but that's how he feels. It's like, you're losing, man. You're not ahead. You're never going to be ahead. Your effort isn't, like, I get where your heart is and I'm with you, but dude, just back off. So, that's mine.
All right. Well, let's get on a little bit lighter note. Whew, we went deep there. Welcome back. Let's talk about our favorite illustration from the chapter titles. Melissa, what was your favorite illustration from the chapters?
My favorite illustration was chapter 4 at Flourish and Blots, where we are first introduced to the beautifulness of Mr. Gilderoy Lockhart in all his shining teeth glory.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Benji.
Mine, I went on the exact opposite branch and went with chapter 12, Polyjuice Potion, where we see Harry turning into Gregory Goyle.
Looking in the mirror.
Looking in the mirror, nice unibrow going, and, not so loveliness.
Abby?
June calls a unibrow. Mom, that guy has a mustache above his eyes. Sorry.
Abby, what was your favorite illustration?
Favorite illustration is chapter 6, Gilderoy Lockhart. It's of the mandrake being yanked up. The mandrakes just really fascinate me, to be quite honest.
Definitely.
Not because it's necessarily like essentially a baby attached to some weeds. The whole idea of herbology, I guess, interests me. And, we focus a lot on, they're over there saying, "Oh, look at her. Of course she likes her."
Yeah, exactly.
It does not surprise me even a little bit.
Yes.
It's not a bad thing.
Anyways, but it does because we focus a lot on like defensive dark arts at this point, using our wands to do spells and charms, and potions too, but not how we acquire certain ingredients or how things are made or produced. And I don't know, I think a baby attached to some plants I would never have thought of that. It's very weird, but I like it. So it's cool.
All right. Riley.
My favorite illustration is chapter 3, The Burrow, where we see the flying car in front of the moon and the starlit night. And the car's even got this sly smirk on its front end bumper, and I don't know, it's just a cool picture. I didn't like a lot of the other illustrations in this book, I don't know, but I don't know, I just think it's a cool little fantastical picture. Caught my eye.
Cool. Lorelai.
Mine's 4 because they give like some details about him, about Gilderoy Lockhart, and it just like says everything.
He's holding a book with a picture of him that's also smiling.
Not what you might have in mind, but like something that you're just like, that does sound like him. That looks like him.
So my favorite illustration was also. Yeah, we did everyone, right?
Sorry, I missed. Yep. I'm paying attention.
My favorite illustration of this book was also chapter 3, The Burrow. Similar to last book, I like that this is an action shot. It's a full picture of kind of what's going on in that whole chapter. And the flying car is just cool. I mean, it was my favorite character of the whole book. So, I just like that. And the stars in the background and the moon. It's a cool isolated picture. There were a lot of really good ones. I know in our chapter, we mentioned the chapter 17 stabbing the diary with the phoenix feathers was really cool. The snakeskin's cool. Aragog's is pretty cool with the spider web tent thing. There's a lot of good ones in that, but the flying car stands out to me.
All right, let's get into our favorite line of the book. So, everybody get ready to read. Luke, we're going to start with you. What was your favorite line?
From the Dueling Club chapter, Melissa's favorite chapter.
Yay.
Scared? Muttered Malfoy, so that Lockhart couldn't hear him. You wish, said Harry, out of the corner of his mouth. Lockhart cupped Harry merrily on the shoulder. Just do what I did, Harry. What? Drop my wand? Those 4 different lines right there cover a big variety of Harry's character. I think you get him being able to stand up to Draco trying to big league him. He's trying to look tough, and Harry just doesn't care. He's better than that. And also being able to look right through Lockhart. He's like, hey, I'm looking for help here, but you got nothing for me. That's pretty clear. So we see a sarcastic streak come back, which is nice.
All right, Riley, what was your favorite line?
So my favorite line comes from Benji's favorite chapter, chapter 18. It's on page 331, and it's said by Dumbledore when he's talking to just Ron and Harry, after he says, last time I talked to you, I said if you broke any rules, I'd have to expel you. And then his line is, which goes to show that the best of us must sometimes eat our words. And to me, that's, I don't know, right now and just in general, it's very relatable. It's very telling. You say things sometimes and you just gotta accept that you're wrong. Accept that no matter what you know, no matter who you are, sometimes you mess up. And I think even the greatest wizard in the world messes up. And so I just think that's, I don't know, very sentimental to me, and it's a good line.
All right.
It's a good sentiment in that the smarter you are, the more readily you've failed at things. It's a good, you've tried and you failed, and if you accept that, you can keep getting better.
But it's also hard sometimes for people who think of themselves as smart to admit mistakes, which is amazing that Dumbledore did.
The best of us take pride out of the equation, which is what he's doing.
Strengths only start as weaknesses.
All right, Benji, let's go to you. What's your favorite line?
It's just overall just good, heartfelt help will always be given to Hogwarts to those who ask for it. And it is so true. It's, you just, and that's just in life. You will always get help. You just have to ask. You have to know that you can't do it on your own. You need some assistance. And as long as you ask, it'll be there for you. And it's, I always like that one. That's why I ended my little section on it.
Asking for help is tough to do sometimes.
It is.
Yep. All right. Lorelai, what did you choose?
Mine is, but when Gilderoy Lockhart saying this, but when I was 12, I was just as much as nobody as you. In fact, I'd say I was even more of a nobody. I mean, a few people have heard of you, haven't they? All that besides with he who must not be named. He glanced at the lightning scar on Harry's forehead. I know, it's not quite as good as winning which Wookley's Most Charming Smile Award 5 times in a row, as I have. But it's a start, Harry. It's a start. It's just so funny.
It is a start.
Wow. In a row. So you like Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yeah, you picked now 2 things in a row. Your least favorite character, but your favorite chapter illustration and your favorite quote.
Sounds like somebody has a crush.
He is so good to hate.
Or he's
which is what I think all 3 of us were saying. He is so well written as being just worthless.
All right, Abby, what was your favorite line?
Mine comes from Professor McGonagall. Why didn't you send us a letter by owl? I believe you have an owl, Professor McGonagall said coolly to Harry. Harry gaped at her. How she said it. That seemed the obvious thing to have done. I didn't think that, Professor McGonagall Sorry. Let me start that one over. That, said Professor McGonagall, is obvious.
Definitely love
also
Professor
one
McGonagall.
of my chapter favorite lines. I love that line.
She's just hilarious.
She's so dry.
She is so dry. It doesn't care about anybody. Like, or she does so much that she needs them to realize how dumb they are to be better.
Yep. I try to emulate her in my profession. For real.
Yeah. Worthwhile.
Right. So my favorite line, I have to say, Abby and Lorelai, those were two of the lines I considered picking, but I went with a Ronism because I picked Ron because he was funny.
Hashtag Ronisms.
I know. And then I had to choose which one. But this is when they're walking in the forest in my least favorite chapter, ironically. And Harry lights his wand and Ron says, I'd light mine too, but it'd probably blow up or something. Because,
just deadpan and...
oh my God, the wand.
Yeah.
I love that the wand comes back to bite Gilderoy in the end.
Thank God he had a broken wand.
I know. I love it.
If it weren't for that, they'd kind of be in a big trouble. But, but up until that point, I was annoyed by the wand the entire.
I love that.
Pretty reasonable. Reasonable. All right. So talking about wands, let's talk about our favorite magic usage of the book. Melissa, what was your favorite magic usage?
Well, it was more of a magic misuse. My favorite magical misuse was Ron trying to attack Malfoy when Malfoy called Hermione a mudblood, and he said, I'm sorry, when he called her a word we can't use. We don't want to
derogatory term.
Yet we say Voldemort without any issues, so
we'll be okay.
All right. So and the eat slugs.
Yeah.
That backfires, but I liked that one. That was funny.
Nice. Definitely. Lorelai.
Eat slugs. It was just really funny.
Benji.
I give it up to Mr. Weasley with the Flying Fort Angula. I thought that bit of magic was the best there is, and as it was a great character in the book in and of itself.
Here. Riley.
The diary. I loved the idea of him just being a memory and he is a computer. It's a computer that used Jenny to learn about Harry. And one of my big questions is, had Tom not, learned about Harry and all of those things from Jenny, he specifically says that he forged his 16-year-old self into this book. Would the diary have known that he would become, I know he knew that he was Lord Voldemort, but would he know that he would become this great wizard, in time, this dark, powerful wizard? And I don't know, I just think it's such an interesting use of magic that he was a memory that was, once it got more of Ginny's soul or heart, he was able to, physically embody himself outside of the book. I don't know, I just think that's such an interesting use of magic that's unlike, it's not just a spell attack or, I don't know, I like the enchantment of the Anglia, but I don't know, I like the enchantment of the diary.
Abby, how about yours?
I like the mandrakes. I like using, not so much, it was a plant, but the preparation, almost like the polyjuice potion, like the time that it took, that it's not just this easy, let me just wave my wand and poof, you're all better. There had to be, planting and tending and sowing and all these things. When I usually think about magic, maybe before Harry Potter, it was just bippity boppity boo and you got what you wanted.
There's a cost to it.
There's a struggle here or effort, in cultivating. So I just like that it gave me a new perspective of you can be magical, but it doesn't mean you're just going to sit there and instantly have whatever you want.
It's not always intrinsic. It takes, there's a cost. There's an effort that you have to do.
It's not just a Mickey's Tower, the brooms are sweeping themselves and.
Could they?
Yeah. And there are aspects of it, but at the same time, those even have limits is what we've learned. Mm-hmm. So, no, I like that.
Good choice.
My favorite magical usage of this chapter was Expelliarmus by Snape. I liked that he kind of stole the show from the Dueling Club and really kind of put on display at how useless Lockhart is. Because, Lockhart's going on and being really showy about, we're doing, the proper things, and this is all nice, and this is for show. And then Snape just coolly says, maybe we should show them how to block unfriendly curses first. It's Snape at his best. It's using Snape's negative qualities towards Harry, but they're just qualities. They're not positive or negative. They're harsh qualities, and they're very well used in this scenario. And even Ron and Harry get it right away when Lockhart gets knocked on his butt. And they're like, who cares if he's fine? Like, it's just, it's nice to see. I like that.
I agree.
Well, jumping right from that, we're going to give our little shout out to Pottermore when we talk specifically about the wand usage that happened in the Chamber of Secrets. In this book, wands were used 37 times. Ron was the person who used his wand the most in the book. He had 8 attempts. However, only 2 of them were successful.
Jeez.
In the whole book. The highest successful wand user was Harry with 6 wand uses. Throughout the series, I found this a very interesting point. Throughout the series, wands are used successfully 4 out of every 5 attempts, or about 80% of the time. However, in Chamber of Secrets, that book has the highest percentage of unsuccessful wand attempts, probably due in large part to Ron's malfunctioning wand, and also like Lockhart not being able to pull off some of his charms. This book has an accuracy rating of only 65%.
Thanks, Ron.
15% lower than the series average. And in this book, we are also introduced to Expelliarmus charm, which is the second most highly used spell of the entire series.
I like knowing how much it's
stats
used.
Are fun.
And it is a shorter book, so overall numbers aren't always useful, but the percentages are definitely valuable. Right. So, as usual, we're about to start our Harry Potter pub trivia.
Okay, here we go. Who was teasing Moaning Myrtle about her glasses the night that she died?
Oh, no chance.
I think I'm wrong about this, but...
Thumbs when you all have your answers. I'm going to pull my teacher move here. All right, I have 3, 4... You sure, Riley? 5. All right, Lorelai, start with you. Who'd you put?
Question mark.
Okay.
Wrong.
Abby?
I put nothing.
Also good. That's not going to work. Benji?
Eloise Midgen?
Nope. That's all right. Riley?
I don't know his name, but I said a Hufflepuff kid.
Wrong and wrong. Well, we don't know how, but it was not a boy. It was Olive Hornby.
I did not say.
Olive.
I didn't say a boy.
I'll take one on that list there.
It was Olive Hornsby.
But
there was
sure it's Hornby.
It's Hornsby. It's one. It's an S. But
I will give it to you because it's just an S.
Yeah. All right.
He's literally looking this up.
Who remembers those things?
The people who do podcasts about them.
Who was Eloise Midgen?
She was one of the fans. She was in this book. That was one of the favorite. She is also in book 5.
Oh yeah.
Christmas on the Close Word. But she is one of Lockhart's favorite fans, or well-known fans.
That's it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Olive
Hornsby.
It's Hornby.
You're kidding.
I'm not. I'm wrong. I'm right.
I'm wrong.
Fine.
I've never known him to be wrong.
I'm wrong.
I will admit if I'm wrong.
A little insight on Luke. He doesn't usually say he's right unless he is.
Question 2. All right. What color were the basilisk's eyes? Thumbs up when you're ready.
Abby's face is a little shaky there.
And on this, again, the asker doesn't get a point if no one gets it.
Unlike our
we've tried after the way last book went. I think the level I went for is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, Abby, what color?
I said red.
Okay. Lorelai.
Brown.
Melissa.
Yellow.
Benji.
Yellow.
Riley.
Yellow.
3 points.
No.
All right.
Yes.
Big yellow eyes is all that Moaning Myrtle.
What color were you?
I couldn't remember.
This is a 2-point question.
Okay.
Oh, what?
Yes.
Oh, what?
You can earn 1 point if you get even one of the answers. There are 2 answers. I will give you a point for each correct answer.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
What would Gilderoy Lockhart's ideal birthday present be? You're looking at me as you write down. You don't even have to look at it.
All right.
How can I give Luke more points than anybody else?
The first one's a long answer. As a hint.
I shortened mine, but...
All right, I have 2, 3.
Yeah.
4, 5. All right. I'm going to end with you.
That's fine.
Abby,
I had a life-size poster of himself.
No.
And,
reasonable.
Oh, and?
A 6th year in a row as the Weekly Wizard's Best Smile winner.
Ah, that would be good. That is not what was in the book, though.
Yeah.
So that's good. Riley.
I said blank, and then I put special quill, because he said something about, I don't know. But,
Okay.
and then pictures of himself.
Okay. No, but good guess. Benji.
All right. World peace among wizards and muggles.
Okay.
Something along those lines. And then, I can't remember the specifics, but hair care products.
You get one.
Okay.
But I'm not going to tell you which one.
Okay.
Lorelai?
I don't know.
Nothing. Okay, no points for you. You are awarded no points.
And they got it.
All right, Luke.
So he wanted peace among magical and non-magical people, and he wouldn't say no to I forget what size vessel he says, but he wouldn't say no to a batch of Ogden's Old Fire whiskey.
2 points for Luke.
That's it.
Technically, it's harmony between all magical and non-magic people, though he wouldn't say no to a large bottle of Ogden's Old Fire whiskey.
I actually had harmony written down. No. I did not.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. So, all right. I knew the world peace, one harmony, whatever.
Bone, Lockhart's, and Harmony.
There you go.
In Luke's defense, he only gets to answer every other question,
Well, yeah,
guys.
no, I know.
No, I mean,
He's still winning.
leading.
He's
This
still
is
winning.
exactly
He
what
also
Luke and
did-
I could never take a class together.
he also dissects every line in this book.
Okay, question 4. What animal was Mrs. Weasley compared to when Harry, Ron, and the twins landed at the burrow?
Can I ask by who?
It's just the narrator.
Okay.
I can read the leading up if you'd like.
I'll take anything.
Definition, please.
What's the origin?
Can I get the country of
What's the
origin?
origin?
The origin is chapter 3, the burrow.
I wouldn't even know what to ask about a spelling bee because I've never been in one. So I was trying to come up with something.
Can you give me a sentence? Mrs. Weasley was marching across the yard scattering chickens, and for a short, plump, kind-faced woman, it was remarkable how much she looked like a... Answer I'm looking for.
I'm sticking with what I have, but
Thumbs up when you're ready.
I'm probably wrong.
Pick an animal, any animal. Just guess.
We got 3.
I don't know.
We got 4, 3.5, 4, 5. Abby,
I said an angry wasp.
Lorelai,
Cow.
Fox?
Melissa, Benji,
Rhinoceros.
Badger.
0 for 5.
Oh, what was it?
A saber-toothed tiger.
I knew it was some sort of predator.
So zeros across the board. All right, Melissa.
I have another 2-point question.
Oh my
Question
gosh.
5.
Big comeback potential here.
See, look at me. I'm trying to help.
I have a 12-point question coming up.
If you guys could write the last paragraph of the book.
Tell me the third
There's-
word of every chapter. There's 18
Spelling.
points available.
12 keywords. that
It
you
was
need to
under
get
the
points
water for all time.
Spelling counts.
Okay. Here we go. Ready?
Spelling counts.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Question 5. After Mrs. Norris was attacked, Filch was putting students into detention for what 2 offenses? I will repeat the question. After Mrs. Norris was attacked, Filch was putting students into detention for what 2 defenses?
Offenses, you mean?
Offenses, yes. I know what I meant.
Offense. Dear fence. That's a line from my new favorite poem.
I don't have a favorite
It's called
poem.
Offense, Dear Fence.
And he just wrote it.
That's it.
What about the sick day?
The Sick? Oh, you're right. I do like Sick by Shel Silverstein. Good.
Mhm.
I also like Pancakes
Mm.
by him. Basically, he's the only poet that I read.
Yeah.
Although Bruce Lansky, Homework, oh Homework, I Hate You, You Stink, that's pretty good too.
All right. Ready?
1, 2,
Oh, sorry.
3, 4.
If any of you guys are looking for a trivia team partner, don't pick me.
All right, Benj, let's start with you.
All right. Real generalization here, but talking too loudly and laughing.
Okay.
Wandering the hall and making a mess.
Okay, Luke.
I said students loitering and talking loudly in the hall.
Okay, Abby.
I had laughing in the halls.
Okay, Lorelai.
That Mrs. Norris looked fat and she smelled.
Okay, there are no points awarded. He put kids into detention for looking happy and
That's what, yeah.
and breathing loudly.
Breathing. Yeah. I knew the loudly was right.
And I can't give it to you for loudly. 'cause
Yeah, no,
I like to argue a
that's
point
breathing.
for laughing and looking happy.
No, because that's just like, not only was laughing would be like punishable by hanging by toenails, just looking happy.
Okay.
Sorry.
I tried, Abby.
I know.
That's all right.
Question 6. Final question of Chamber of Secrets.
Oh, I really wish we could use my bonus question.
All right, I need a point on this.
We can still do your bonus one.
I like the bonus.
Let's do the bonus one as well. Why not, right?
All right.
We make the rules here.
That's right. I want to use my bonus question.
What
The points made up of.
What was the only non-Gilderoy Lockhart authored book on Harry's book list?
Yep. I got this one. I think. I think it should be really easy.
I can do a bonus question as well. That one. Hopefully it's not the same.
Well,
all right, we've got 4. Abby, I don't know if you have a thumb.
Yep, there's
Okay. Abby, let's start with you. What was the only book not Gilderoy Lockhart authored on Harry's school book list?
I just said a herbology book? I don't know.
Okay. Riley.
Magical beasts and where to find them.
Benji.
Standard Book of Spells, level 2 or grade 2.
Bye. I should have said author as well. But I mean, if you know the author, I'll give a bonus point for author.
Okay. Miranda Goshart.
Melissa.
Standard Book of Spells, grade 2. I don't know the author.
Lorelai.
I don't know, but I know the author is a girl.
Half point.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was Standard Books of Spells, grade 2 by Miranda Goshart. Credit.
Thank you.
Bonus question.
So Benji got 2 points on that.
Yes.
Times,
I got
and
one.
Melissa got 1.
Okay, so
bonus or times 6 if I get them right.
Okay.
Me too.
So bonus 1.
So, here's my bonus question. There's a correct answer. And then, there's a correct answer. And then a bonus point for every part. It'll make sense when I ask it. Ready? How many ingredients were listed for the polyjuice potion? And I will give you a bonus point for every one you list. So, first question is, how many ingredients were listed for the polyjuice potion? And then you get a bonus point for every one you can name. Okay, Benji's ready.
No.
Riley's ready.
Yeah, sure. I got one of them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can get one of those.
Luke should only... He's got kind of a...
Lorelai's still writing over here. She's got a whole thing going. I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
Luke just looks...
Is this an open book test?
No.
Gee dang.
I don't give those.
Too bad I'm the only one not sitting there.
Because you're not in college.
Online class.
That is true.
I mean...
No
right,
no
are you ready?
open book.
Online
please.
class.
Abby, are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Luke needs a minute.
Award him all the points. Crown him king.
I haven't answered the initial question.
He's still working on the bonus points.
Can this be like a Price is Right type of thing?
You can't go over. Abby.
I said 33 ingredients, and I know you need hair.
Okay. Lorelai.
Frog legs.
Did you have a number for how many they listed?
32.
Okay. Benji.
13 ingredients and boomslang skin.
Okay.
Said 6 and hair of the person that you're trying to be transformed into.
Luke.
I said 5, and 3 of which are lacewing flies, boom slang skin, and a piece of the person you're changing into.
Okay.
I believe there were 2 more.
You get the 3 points for the 3 you named. Benji gets a point for the one he named. It's not really hair, Abby. It's really bits of someone that you're changing into, but I will give you a point for hair.
It would work. It would work.
Riley, however, gets 2 points because he got one of the ingredients and he was
6.
closest.
Okay.
What number did he go with?
He went with 6.
Actually,
7. Lacewing flies, leeches, fluxweed, knot grass, powdered horn of a bicorn,
powdered horn. That was the one I should have written.
Shredded skin of a boomslang, as well as a bit of whoever the drinker intends to turn into.
So Riley got 2.
Riley got 2.
All right.
Let's go.
So Luke,
Heck
do you have a
yeah.
trivia question? You have a bonus?
I do. This is going to be fun for everyone.
Oh boy.
And it goes right along with my previous question. Bonus question number 2.
What was your previous question?
My previous question was, what was the
Oh,
only
God.
non-Lockhart
That's
book?
right.
So, name as many Lockhart books on the school list that you can.
Never mind.
Oh.
Not that one.
I will also give you credit if you guess the number, if you can't think of all of the... So, same format as the other one.
Do 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 do.
All right.
Abby, if you can read those from there, I'll give you...
Do.
Is everybody else done?
No.
All right, so the question was, name all of the Gilderoy Lockhart authored books that were on Harry's school list. Abby.
And you said tell how many.
And if you can guess how many, I will give you a point for that as well.
I said 13 books.
Okay.
And Magical Me, and it's like, I don't know, Waltz. I have on here Waltzes with Werewolves or something.
Okay. Lorelai.
8 something with werewolves.
Okay. Melissa.
I said 6. Gadding with Ghouls, Holidays with Hags, Voyages with Vampires, something with the Wagga Wagga Werewolf, but I don't know if that's the title, and something with a Banshee.
Okay. Benji.
I had 8 as well. Gadding with Ghouls, Break with Banshee, Waltzing with Werewolves, and that was it.
Riley.
I also had 8, but I took a little bit of liberties with the titles.
Let's hear them anyway.
So the first one is Tales of Gildy, Gilderoy's Extravaganza, Wild Potions and Where Gildy Found Them, You Aren't Locked Without the Heart, No...
That's actually his debut album.
No... Oh, there's more. No Hearts Locked, and Owner of a Lonely Lockhart.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give Riley just a
Point of
creativity
inspiration.
half point. Just a creativity half point. Okay. So what was the number that you went with?
8.
Okay, it was not 8. It was not 30 something.
She said 13.
It was 7.
7.
They are not Magical Me. Sorry, that was one of the 2 that is not on the school list.
Yeah.
Break with a Banshee. Benji got credit for that one, I know. I don't think you had that one.
I couldn't remember the first B word.
Gadding with Ghouls, I believe you both got. Holidays with Hags. You got that one. Travels with Trolls, I believe no one said.
Oh, I forgot about Trolls.
Yeah.
Voyages with Vampires, I know you said. Voyages with Vampires. Wanderings with Werewolves. So, unfortunately, at just saying werewolves.
Yeah, no, you can't
so
get that point.
And-
got 2.
I got 3.
And Year with a Yeti, which no one said.
Gadding with Ghouls, Holidays with Hag, Voyage with Vampires.
Yes.
3.
You said 12.
All right, so to total up, Melissa is sitting at 5 points. Luke is sitting at 6 points. Riley has 3.5 points. Abby has 2 points. Lorelai has 0.5 points.
Yeah.
And I have 6 points as well. So, no, I have 7. Sorry, I have 7. Haha, I win.
No, he does. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so the
Thank you,
final-
bonus questions.
So, let's get into one of our final portions of this end of book spectacular, woo, fun stuff. We're going to go through our book rankings thus far. So, ranking the books that we've read up until this point in order. Melissa.
The best book is book 1. The worst book is book 2. Too many issues with how did the plot happen. And book 1 just it was introducing the world, and I liked that a lot. Book 2 again just felt like a repeat, although funnier, and the information was conveyed better. It just didn't really do much different.
Sure.
Okay.
Lorelai.
Book 2 is my favorite. Book 1 is not. Book 2 is my favorite because it is more funnier.
Okay. Riley.
Up until 17, it was book 1, and it was almost book 2, but it's still book 1 is my favorite, and book 2 is my worst.
Okay. Benji.
2 than 1. I enjoy this one a lot more than book 1. I love book 1, but this one just, it's more fun, it's more interactive, and yeah, I base it a little bit on the movie too, and I enjoy movie 2 over movie 1, hands down. So that's kind of where I go with it.
Abby. Book ranking.
I'm on Team Book 1.
Woo!
Yeah. It not really. I don't hate this book. It's very interesting. It sets up a lot of stuff, but it just doesn't give me the same feeling reading book 2 as I got reading book 1. And I love book 1. And going forward, none of the other books give me the same feeling as I had book 1. But the story or what happens is so interesting that just awesome. But Team Book 1.
All right. And maybe I'm a bit of a Harry Potter hipster on this, but I like book 2 because it's pretty well known as being the worst book in the series.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it.
Yeah.
A lot of people skip over it on rereads entirely. Just completely skip it because, like I said at the beginning of this, it has some huge similarities to book 1, that might not be as fun, and it feels like you're just repeating the same story again, just with different pieces in different parts. But the writing really is better. The authorship is better. It's funnier. It's darker, which we see carry through later on through the books. So that theme starts building here, and I like that it gets deeper into things. This is some really fantastic magic that Tom Riddle is doing, and it's just so unexpected as to where the overall villain is coming from and how it's played its game, as Benji went through on his breadcrumbs through the whole story. It's been a character since chapter 5 or 4 at Flourish and Blots, and it's just a part of everything, as opposed to the Philosopher's Stone, which it's mentioned a couple times here and there, and then it just becomes, oh, it's this big thing that can make Voldemort come back permanently. Like, okay, I don't know. I just like the way this book does its plot better.
Yeah, and one thing I want to add onto your point really quick on the it adds to the world building a lot more than book 1 did. And now book 1, introduced and built everything up, but this one adds in the politics side of it, adds in that
the society, the culture,
and also the subversive side of it, the darker side, not Flourish and Blots, the
Borgin and
Burkes. And, you see the game that Malfoy's playing of that and incorporating Fudge, Cornelius Fudge, and bringing him in. So you start seeing the bigger world in general. And so I agree.
Book 1 does a great job at creating the world. Yes. This does a great job at expanding it and showing that it's more than just, hey, Harry found out about this magical world and here's everything. It's really a lot more than that.
All right, so now we're going to get into our final thoughts on this book. This can be final questions. It can be your favorite scene. It can be what are you hoping for as we continue. And so we're going to start. We're actually going to go oldest to youngest on this one. So
listeners, text in now if you can figure out who's oldest to youngest.
Not including me.
Or me.
Right.
Oh man, you should jumble it up. They could guess.
Aw, no, I'm just going to go this way. So let's start with the oldest person. Beauty. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to add in my favorite scene because it's not quite my favorite chapter, but it is my favorite scene of the chapter. It's from the Whomping Willow chapter. Basically, when Harry and Ron get back to the school, they already got out of the tree and everything, and they're looking in the window of the Great Hall, and they're looking around, and Harry goes, "Where's Snape, Ron? Maybe he's ill, Harry. Maybe he's left, Ron. Maybe he's been sacked. Or maybe he's waiting to hear why you two haven't arrived at the school on the school train." It's like, you don't expect to have Snape right behind you, and his creepy, silky, and it goes to show why Snape could not like Harry and Ron, because you know what? They don't like him. It's he just might be personal, like, hey, you don't like me, I'm not gonna like you kind of thing. So, I don't know, I just really enjoy that scene, wanted to get that in there as well. But final thoughts on the book itself, I enjoy this one. Like I said, later on proves why this book is really good. My first read through, it was, as many people agree, is my least favorite. After a few later books, this does become in the higher end of it, because of breadcrumbs that have been left. And so I just can't wait to get through next book so we can get to book 4.
All right. Next. Abby, that's you.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for you to say Abby.
Oh, I guess. See, I wasn't going to give it away.
So I have a couple thoughts. One, at some point, really reliable Lockhart says, "There's babies in the studio. Oh my goodness, I never get to see them."
Yeah, there's babies. We took pictures.
Sorry, lots of babies. Lockhart says something about his dealings with a werewolf, and he said you could just use a homorphous charm. A very complex charm. Is this a real thing? Is it ever talked about again?
I don't believe so.
Did he just make up this charm and act like it exists?
Knowing Lockhart?
Probably.
Highly likely.
That's what I'm wondering.
I like that idea better than it being something we've never heard of again.
Right. Okay. So there's that. My other thought is going back to what Riley was saying about the rule breaking, and that's not a Gryffindor chart or characteristic. And I do agree that, being brave and loyal does have some assumed truth telling to it. But I think there's a difference between breaking the rules and doing bad things or whatever when your intention is pure. When your moral compass and your integrity are what are guiding you, then breaking rules is good to go. And I like that in this book we see really, really that Hermione is using that as it's okay to break rules for the right reasons. And lastly, the book overall, I don't dislike it as much as I thought I did.
Yay!
I definitely don't. I think the writing is better, and forcing myself to read it, it is funny. Like, it is super funny. It's just one of those, like Luke said, it's the skip over book.
Right.
But if you skip over it, you kind of don't understand stuff. So don't skip over it, folks.
Word to the wise. All right, next.
I don't have too many final thoughts. I've said a lot. Like, I think the end really makes up for the book. I think a character that I didn't talk about a lot that I liked more this book is Snape. He did a lot of cool things, a lot of funny lines. I talked about in the end of the book. One of my favorite lines from there was a line from Snape. And, I don't know. I would read again. I'm excited to read more. Still on the journey with everybody who hasn't read it
So you're not quitting on us, is
no,
what I hear.
Definitely not.
Awesome.
I'm excited for all the hype around book 3, but I'm taking it as it comes, just as a first time reader. And I don't know. I'm excited to see more about the world. I think this book delivered on it, but I'm still hungry to see more. I think the world is a good character. That's my favorite part of stories. Good stories have good characters. The world is a character in good stories, and I think this is a really good character for a world. So
Great.
Excited to see more of it.
All right, and last but not least.
What house is Lockhart?
He is a Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
No way.
How do you feel about that?
Confused.
Why?
Because, yeah, he's smart about, tricking people.
Should be a Slytherin.
Yeah.
So you feel he was misplaced?
Mm-hmm.
You would put him in Slytherin?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Any other final thoughts?
Yep.
Are you looking forward to next book?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to join us too. You're coming back.
Yeah.
Anybody not coming back? Notice how you don't really have an option, but you can pretend.
I'm thinking about it.
I'm coming back under protest.
Okay. All right. Good. I'll drag you anyway. I don't care. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye and thank you to each of our guests. Can you, as we go around, say
Every
goodbye?
member of our Harry Potter team.
Of our team. And let us know again, first of all, your role here, what house you're in, and then your sign off. Ready? Let's start with Riley.
So I'm Riley. I'm the first time reader. I'm a proud Slytherin, and what slithers may never die.
All right.
I am Benji. I am the sly private eye. I am a proud Gryffindor, but have Slytherin tendencies. And help will always be found at Hogwarts to those who ask.
I am Lorelai. I am
Age-appropriate reader.
I am an age-appropriate reader. I am a very, very proud Hufflepuff. And I don't have one, just Hufflepuff's rules.
I am Abby. I am the roving Quidditch correspondent, and from the House of Gryffindor. My sign-off will be, rules are meant to be broken.
Here, here.
All right, I'm one of your favorite co-hosts. One of the favorite co-hosts. Luke, I am a proud Ravenclaw, and I say stay imaginary.
And I am Melissa, the other co-host, also a proud Ravenclaw, and I am going to say wit
beyond
measure is
Treasure.
man's greatest treasure. Thank you for joining us for Chamber of Secrets. We can be found on social media at Not Named Podcast. You can email us at thepodcast@gmail.com. We have a website, thepodcastthat.com, which has this show and our other shows in the Podcast That family.
Hey, have a shout if you've been on a different show of ours.
Me.
Hey!
Hey!
Whoa, Abby's got the coolest shirt ever. Look at that. Opening in our store soon.
Look for the Podcast That merch coming soon, hopefully after the first of the year. One of our shows is the Podcast That Drinks and Knows Things, starring your very own Luke and Benji, a Game of Thrones podcast. Another show is...
And Abby.
And Abby is the first-time watcher on that show. And Riley
frequent
has been
guest.
A guest as well. Another podcast which will be coming in January is the podcast... January, right. In January.
Kind of sucks, guys.
What?
January.
I said, that's my kind of timeline.
Right. It really is. Coming soon in January is the podcast that floats down here where Luke, Benji, and I discuss Stephen King's It. That wraps it up for our end of book spectacular. Thanks again to all of our guests who are here. Join us next week as Luke, Riley, and I sit down and watch the movie Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And then after that, we're going to take a short hiatus, just a few weeks off, and coming in the new year, we will be back with Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. As always,
stay imaginary.
Thanks.
We at the Podcast That Family would like to extend a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and yours this holiday season. And as always, season's readings.
It's coming. Pretty damn creepy.
Yeah,
and then Bill throws the photo album across the room and goes to bed.
And it starts bleeding.
That's right.
It does start to bleed and everything. I'm just saying, watch out for this clown.
Sometimes there's not a deeper meaning.
Yeah.
And I kind of mentioned that in my summary.
Well, so I really like that it starts off just like the Ben chapter before. It starts off with old Bill, and he's flying at Derry, and Derry is rushing at him. And Bill finally realizes where the ideas for his books come from. We knew all of them, but watching it dawn on him is very painful for us to see.
Comes in, I can only imagine how scary that is, getting the news you just got and then it starting to come back, something you worked your entire life to slow down and do, but now here it comes again, and it's like, oh, okay, that's creepy. Something bad's coming, and if she follows him, she's gonna be in danger.
While I was reading it, I emotionally attacked by this line. The "Stop, Daddy, I'm sorry, I love you."
Yeah.
Teared up right now.
The movie came out a few months ago because this episode's coming out in a few months.
You're breaking the fourth wall, man. You're breaking the fourth wall. Slow down.
You're killing me, Smalls.
This can be
cut. I agree with you, but I think he has a death wish, but it's less of a death wish and more of a forgetting wish. Like, if he can go fast enough, he can feel better and it will all go away.
The podcast that floats down here.
January 12th. Subscribe now.